Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie Kay.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by and spending some of your quality time with me today. And today I'm here with a Craft With Me session, junk journal style. And I'm going to be creating some Christmas tree journal cards. You could also easily turn these into a tag or even like a page or a book cover topper. So if you want to use it as your journal topper, if for some reason you're more of a card maker, you could definitely turn this into a card. Or also, if you like to decorate bags, you could also definitely add this to like a bag that you're decorating. So there's lots of different options. And we are going to be making a Christmas tree journal card is what we'll be creating. And as you can see, I have all my supplies laid out. So it's just kind of some basic supplies that I think most people have, except for maybe not the star punch. But you can also very easily just create your own star or use something different for the top of your Christmas tree if you don't want a star. So for this project, you are going to need some sort of base layer for your journal cards. And I did start off with a piece of cardstock. It does measure 4 by 6 if you want to know my exact size. But again, whatever size you want is fine. And then I also layered one piece of some scrapbooking paper that I had in my stash. But you could use digital if you like to craft with digitals. And then I also went ahead and I just sewed around the edges. That was just kind of the look that I was going for. And so today I decided I'm just going to make 2 with you guys, but at the end of the video I'll probably show you a few more because I plan on to make a few more of these, but I just figured I would do 2 in the video with you for today. And so again, that's your base layer. I'm also going to be making my Christmas tree out of music paper, but you could also use like textbook paper. You could also use digital paper also. I recommend, because we're going to be doing some paper folding, I recommend that it be slightly lighter weight paper, not too thick. That'll just make life easier. Also, if you want a bone folder, you could also definitely have a bone folder. I'm not using one today, but some people I know like to use the bone folders. So that is an option too. Also, let's see, you're going to need some sort of paper for your star at the top of your tree. And so I'm choosing on one of mine today to use copper, and the other one I'm using some yellow. You also need a star punch, and this is a star punch that I'm using. It's from the Paper Studio. I've had it in my stash for a long time. This one does measure, it's probably slightly under 2 inches if you want to know the exact size of that one. Also, you might need a ruler or a paper cutter. And what else? Trims or laces for the to decorate your tree with. And I recommend a little bit smaller trim, not as wide. You could use like rickrack trim, little rosette trim like this. I have this type of trim that I think would look nice also. So whatever trims you have, but if you don't have trims, you could also very easily use stickles, glitter. I have some chunky glitter I'm going to try today too for this project. So that's what I'm going to use on one of them, and then I'll use the lace on the other tree that we create. I'm also going to be using a Distress ink pad. This one's Vintage Photo. If you don't like to ink your edges, you don't have to do that. You could also choose to use a different color, like green maybe would be another option since we're making Christmas trees. And then also, of course, you're just going to need your basic supplies, possibly a ruler if you're someone who likes to measure, scissors, glue. I'll be using these 2 types of glue, just tacky glue and this adhesive fine line glue. And this one just dries clear, so that's why I'm choosing to use this one. I know many people like that art glitter glue. That would be perfectly fine. I just don't own any of that glue. So whatever glue you like. And I think I said scissors. So I think that's all I need to tell you as far as what we're going to need today for supplies. So again, you're going to start off with a journal card. And let's start off with trying to decide. We'll start off making the one that's for this one first. And this one I'm going to use chunky glue on. Or not chunky glue, chunky glitter to decorate my Christmas tree. And so for the first step, you guys are going to want to take, if you're using textbook paper or music paper, you're going to want to cut it down into strips. This is what I found was the easiest thing to do to make this. So this first strip I'm using, and these ones will fit onto the journal cards. What you want to do is make it slightly shorter, or the width slightly shorter than your journal card. And so since these ones were 4 by 6, I'm doing 3.5. But you could do 3 1/4 or whatever. It doesn't have to be so specific, but I know a lot of people like to have sizes. So this is 3.5. I'll also be using some 3-inch wide ones and 2.5 inches. So I've already cut my strips down. And so now we're going to make our little pieces for the tree. And as soon as I start doing this, you guys will be like, oh, that makes sense. Or if you saw my thumbnail, you'll kind of know what project we're going to be doing. And of course, you could cut these down and make them individually, but I found it just easier to make them on a strip and just to kind of keep on making them until I run out of paper and then cut another strip. So as you can see, there is a right side up, and I'm going to turn it towards me. And so it's kind of backwards now on the camera. And I'll zoom in here a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. We're going to fold the first layer or the bottom of our Christmas tree. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically just folding it in. That simple. That's going to be one layer of our Christmas tree. And again, you can make as many layers as you want. I'm just going to choose, I think today, to make 5. That seems to me to be the perfect number for the 4 by 6 journal card. And now that I have it folded over, I'm just going to cut it. So we're basically making a triangle, basically is what we're making. And so that's what it looks like. And then we're going to turn it this way, and that's going to be our base of our Christmas tree. Again, I'm going to make 5 of these, but I'm going to do 2 that are this size. So again, we're working with a 3.5 inch paper. So I'm going to make one more exactly the same with this one. And I think while I'm doing this, I'm actually going to go ahead and make 4 of them, because I'm going to go ahead and make the ones for the next journal card. So if you're going to follow along right with me and you're making 2 journal cards, do 4 that are this size. What I like about this project is that it is really simple, and you can see my cutting isn't that straight, so I'm just going to kind of edge it off a little bit to make it a little straighter. I've made like Christmas cards like this before in the past. This technique has been around for a long time, so it's nothing new. I think I was making some of these types of trees 20 years ago. So like I said, there's nothing new. There's also like a different type of fold out there that has a few more folds to make a Christmas tree. That's kind of fun, an origami one. But this one I know is kind of a simple one to make, and I think it makes kind of fun little Christmas trees. So again, my cutting is very kitty-wampus, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to trim this off to make it a little bit more level. Sometimes I'll just use my paper cutter and cut it with my paper cutter, but for the sake of filming, I didn't want to have another thing sitting on my desk, so I'm going to just use my scissors. And you can tell I'm just kind of folding in approximately the middle of this piece of paper. It doesn't have to be perfect. And this is also one of those projects, if you think you're going to make several of them, you could kind of mass produce them. Especially if you're like card making or something. So there's that one. So now I have 4 of those. So I'm going to put 2 of these aside for the other journal card that we'll be doing together second. So I have these 2. Now I'm going to work with the 3-inch one. And again, it's 3 inches this way. And so we're going to again make 4 of these. I'm going to use 2 on this journal card and 2 on the other one. So again, I'm just folding in. Like I said, I find this card, or this journal card, kind of easy to make. I remember, I believe one year for Christmas I made like, you know, probably 50, 60 of these. So, and I'm just going to cut this one down a little bit. I just want more of the music notes showing when I do my folding. So I'm just going to cut that top off a little bit. If you're using like a digital or textbook paper, again, you just want to think about how you're folding it, just so that when you flip it back over on the other side, that the image or the text is going the right way, or the music notes in my case. So now I have 2 for the card. I'm going to make 2 more for the other one. And again, my cutting is so not perfect when I use the scissors. So I'm just going to trim that down just a little bit. And what I'm doing to kind of trim it down, I don't know if you guys can tell, but you know, the lines on with the music notes, I'm just cutting straight on that. So that's what I'm doing. If you're wondering how I'm making it a little more straight, I'm just following the lines. So now lastly, we want to work with 2.5 inch paper. And again, it's 2.5 inches wide. And I'm going to start off by just trimming the top again. And again, your folding doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you can see it's not quite even there. It's, like I said, it's not that big of a deal for this project. Ugh, my cutting was really bad on that one. So now I have, and actually I only need 5, so I'm just gonna, the 2.5 size, I'm doing 1, I only need to do 2 because I only want 5 pieces for the tree. So I'm just going, this will be my last one that I have to cut here. So the 2.5 one, I'm only cutting a total of 2, not 4 like I did the other one. Sorry about that. I just remembered that. So now we have our 5 pieces. We have the ones that we cut from the 3.5, the 3, and the 2.5. And I like to ink my edges, so that's my next step, is I'm just going to go ahead and ink the edges. And you just have to do the front side, not the side that the folds are or the ends are on. And so I'm going to show you real quick how to put it together, but then I'm going to decorate this one, obviously. So there's 2 different ways. You can, of course, just stack them like this and just glue them on the back sides. And you just go like this with the layers, starting with your biggest pieces on the bottom, and then you get smaller. And of course, you can add more or less, but that's basically how you do it. I like to put them together by, I actually kind of open it up like this, and I'll stick it in this way and add glue, and so that's how I put mine together. But you can do it either way. You can just glue the whole thing on, or like I said, I like to slip it inside. And so that's how I do it, but I like to decorate them first and then glue them together. But I just thought I would show you guys that for those of you who just wanted the quick down and dirty tutorial. So now that I have those ones kind of inked, for this one, I think I want to do the glitter. And so what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to take a scratch piece of paper here. And this one I'm going to have to let dry. So that's why I decided I wanted to try this one first. Because because I'm going to let this one dry, and then we'll go ahead and work on the other one while this one's drying. But I'm just going to put a little bit of glue, and if you're using glitter or something, you want to make sure it's a glue that dries clear. So I'm just putting glue around the bottom. That's all I'm going to do for this one, is just on the bottom. This kind of reminds me of some of those older vintage ornaments. I don't know if you've seen them that made out of music paper, and then people will use like silver glitter on them. This is what this kind of reminds me of, but I'm choosing to do this green glitter, and this is more of a chunky glitter. I just like the look of that. Again, you could use the stickles if that's what you have. And so that's what that one looks like. So this is, like I said, kind of a fun little project. Hopefully everyone's doing well today. I know it's kind of a little bit snowy here today in Minnesota, the day that I'm filming this. So not much happening, I guess, in my world. I just finished decorating my Christmas tree, and it was kind of one of those things that nothing would go right this year. It seemed like I kept on dropping ornaments and breaking them. I have a pre-lit tree that I put up, and it's a really tall tree. It's like, I don't know if it's like 8 feet tall, and of course some of the pre-lit lights wouldn't light. And so then I had to make kind of an emergency run to Hobby Lobby, which, you know, we all like going to Hobby Lobby, so I don't know how much of a, you know, emergency run that was to buy more lights, because at least this time of year they have them 25% off. And so I did that, and of course I picked up a couple other things while I was at Hobby Lobby. So I'm going to let those dry off to the side, and then we're going to start working on the other one. The other one I'm going to use lace on. So yeah, so I ran to Hobby Lobby, which for me, since I live in the middle of nowhere, it's probably like a 50-minute drive to Hobby Lobby. It's also that far if I want to go to like a Walmart or anything. So I drove to Hobby Lobby, and it was kind of a nice day yesterday for that. And then this morning I finished decorating the Christmas tree. I redid the lights, but of course, so I fixed the lights that were not working and put new lights up. And then as soon as I started decorating the tree, then another couple of lights went out. But luckily I bought some extras. So I just had to unstring a couple of them and restring. So it was a process, but now I'm really glad it's done. It looks so pretty. I love decorating for Christmas. I don't know if you guys decorate for Christmas or not. The last couple of years, just with all the COVID stuff, I kind of took it off and didn't really decorate because we didn't have people visiting at all. But so yeah, so I just had to pause the video there. I had to grab something to drink real quick. So yeah, I'd taken the last couple of years off from decorating, and now this year I'm decorating again. I'm looking forward to having people come visit. Usually we get quite a few people that want to come visit, just because I kind of go all out for decorating inside the house. And so besides putting up the tree, I have like a snowman collection I put up. I also put up an angel collection that my mom gave me because she kind of downsized her decorating. So I put that up. And I live in a cabin, so we have like little beams in our ceiling. And so I do run over the rafters. I run garland, and then I hang ornaments, and I have these little clip-on birds that I put on them. So I do that. So I finished all of that. I also decorated our fireplace mantle. And that one I have a sleigh and some reindeer that I put on that my father-in-law, he does woodworking and wood turning. And so he made that for me, so I put that up. So I'm getting close to being done for decorating for Christmas. The only thing that I still have left to do is I have a nativity that I put up, and it's quite a big nativity. I don't know if some of you may have heard of it or not, but it's the Fontanini. It's Italy. brand nativity, and you can buy like a new piece for it every year, or they come out with a new piece every year. And so mine's gotten quite big because as a child, my mom used to buy me one every year. And then sometimes if I got Christmas money, I'd buy another piece to go with it. And you can buy, it's like a little village thing. You can buy buildings and little animals and different things that go with it. So I have a lot of fun putting it up. When I used to live in the same city as my sister, her kids would actually come and help me put it up every year. But now it's just me. So I am just cutting them slightly bigger. I'll trim them down after the glue dries on it, if you guys are wondering. I know I've been kind of talking about decorating, but in case you're wondering, I usually let them dry for a second before I trim them down. And for this one, I'm just choosing to use the tacky glue instead of that other glue. This holds the lace down pretty good. You could also use Fabri-Tac glue if you prefer. I had a friend who made these cards one year, and she actually put eyelets down along the bottom, and then she hung charms from them. And that was a really cool card. It's definitely a labor of love, though, if you want to do it that way. This one I think is kind of a quick one, and it's kind of a great way to use up. I know all of us junk journalers have all this textbook paper and scraps of ribbons and trims, and it's just a great way to use up that kind of stuff. And you could alternate and do different colors if you wanted to. I'm just keeping mine kind of all simple and plain, and I bet you guys are like, oh, you forgot to distress them. And so I'm going to do that. I forgot to do that. I was so busy talking that I forgot to do that. And usually when I do this, I kind of do it in an assembly line. So this is a little bit different for me just to be creating one or two. Usually I make all of the pieces and then make several at a time. But again, if you're making this for a junk journal, maybe you only want to do it for one tag or something. The last time I made these, I was making Christmas cards, so I was mass producing a lot of them. But all right, so I think I got those. So now I'm going to trim these down a little bit. I just like to, I turn them over and then I just kind of angle them the same as the triangle, if that makes sense, so that they look a little bit neater. This one looks a little big, so I'm just going to trim that one down a little bit more. Like I said, this is a pretty easy little project, so hopefully you guys like it. All right, so I think I have all of my pieces done there. So now I'm going to take my journal card, and again, this is 4x6. I'm also going to take, I have some leftover brown trim. It's like a little bit of like a velvety type feel. I don't know if it's really truly velvet or not, but I just had a piece about this big and I cut it into little pieces. I'm going to use that for my base of my Christmas tree. And again, you could just cut a piece of brown scrapbooking paper if you wanted to do that, or another type of trim. And I'm just going to glue it on. Again, I'm just going to use the tacky glue. I find that tacky glue does work on laces and trims. If they're a little bit more delicate type trims or heavier trims, I usually use the Fabri-Tac, but the tacky glue works just fine for little projects like this, so I'm not going to use my more expensive Fabri-Tac glue. I kind of just try to use that on certain projects. So I'm going to glue that down, and then I'm also, at the same time, I already punched out my stars with that punch. While I'm thinking of it, just so I don't forget, on this one, I am going to ink my edges. And this is just some scrapbooking paper that I had left over from something that I must have did for one of my sister's kids. Because usually I don't use yellow very often in projects. But one of my sister's kids loves yellow, so I did helped her with a lot of scrapbooking pages that are yellow, so I have a little bit of paper that color for scraps in my stash. So I'm just going to have those off to the side. And so now you can put your tree together, and then this is going to be done. And so I kind of look at my pieces and just, even though these were the exact same size folded, sometimes one looks slightly bigger than the other. And again, I kind of like to lay it out first, and then I glue them together. And so I think I'm going to do that. And again, you can vary how you do it. You could stop there if you're happy there. You can also push them a little closer together and put more layers. It's just kind of one of those things that you can just do what makes you happy. You don't have to do it exactly the same as me if you don't want to. And of course, you could do different size papers. Again, usually I like to just make sure that my base paper, again, we started off with the music paper that was 3.5 inches wide, and I like to make it smaller than my base journal card, or if I'm doing a card that it's smaller. So this one was 4, so I took it in 1/2 inch is basically what I did. And so there will be my top. Of course, if you trust yourself, you can just go ahead and glue it down as you go, but I like to kind of look at it and kind of have an idea. So, I mean, that kind of gives you guys the idea, other than I need to straighten them. And then what I do is I like my stars hanging over the top, so it's kind of like a tab. And so I'll glue half the star on the front, and then this other half on the back is basically how I put it together. So I'm happy with how that one looks. I don't think I need another layer, because at this point, if you wanted to fold another one and put it on, you could do that. So you can either work your way from top to bottom with the layers, or I like to work from bottom to top. So, and to start with, I'm just going to I just start with a little dab of glue right at the top. And again, you could just lay this on top, or I like to insert it in. So, and so just by inserting it in, you just open it up and go like this. And I just loosely do it. That way I still have some wiggle room. That's the other reason why I like to use the tacky glue, is it has fairly fast drying time, but not so much that I can't work with it. And so I just, like I said, I just kind of start putting it together. Again, I'm just putting just a small dab up at the top, and then I'll glue it better on the back side when I'm happy with it. So these are kind of fun little trees to make. And like I said, these have been around for a long time. So like I said, I know I was making it 10, 15 years ago. I've been a paper crafter for over 20 years. So probably closer to 30 years by now. Close to 30 years. So you can kind of play with it until it starts to dry, and then you better, either start sticking them down or pulling them apart if you're not happy. So that's, like I said, why I use the tacky glue, is just, and then I kind of press where I know I have the glue on the pieces if I'm happy with it. And like everything in life, if it's a little kitty wampus, no tree is perfect. So then I flip it over, and I'm just going to put in some more glue on the inside. Where all of our little folds are. I usually just open them all up and put glue in them. So just fold them back down. And then once I've folded them shut, I go ahead and add more glue on the back side then, so that I can glue it on to my base. It's a little kitty wampus, but not too bad, I don't think. Then to glue the star down, what I do is I just put glue on the bottom half of the star to start with. And then I just layer it on the top of my tree. And then I turn my journal card over, and then I put glue on the whole back side of this one. And then I cover that one. So then you have a little star on the top. And again, I think these are kind of fun because you can use them as tabs. You know, you could maybe put a heart. I know a lot of junk journal people have heart punches. You could do a heart too if you don't have a star. Or if you're good, you could draw one or cut one out from somewhere and trace it. Or if you have a die cut, you could do that. So other options, if you wanted to add little ornaments, you could do that. I know that there's like some dimensional things out there like liquid pearls. If you have liquid pearls, you could put some little dots on there if you wanted to embellish more. But again, I'm just kind of keeping mine simple, so I'm not going to do any more adding on. The only thing I might do is if I put this in a journal, maybe I'll add a word or something. I'll stamp like the word joy or Noel and then put a little like label or something on it. So you could do that too if you wanted to. So there's the first card, and if you guys want to stick around and watch me do the second one, feel free. If not, you can always just fast forward again to the end because I'll just have a couple more samples because I don't know how many. I'm going to make 6, 7 of them today, 8 maybe, just to have a few in my stash while I'm making them and have all the stuff out. So now we'll do the next one with the glitter, and I don't know if it's 100% dry, but it's closer than it was. So here's the journal card I'm using again for this one, and pretty much the exact same way that I did the other one. Again, I'm just going to choose to use this little bit of scrap trim that I have that's brown. Yeah, didn't have very much of this trim. I think I probably got it in a grab bag or something of lace that I bought at the thrift store. I'm not really one to buy a lot of brown lace, but this is kind of a good way to use it up. And again, if you wanted to measure and find the center, you can. I just eyeball it, so. And this one, since the glitter is still kind of wet, I think I'm just going to just glue it together almost right away here. And again, you can change the look if you want, you know, more space in between or less. Also, it changes the look depending upon what type of trim or lace you put on it, or if you use stickles. If you're using stickles, you'll probably have to let it dry even longer because I think stickles takes a while to dry. You maybe even could actually use your sewing machine around these. So that would probably look kind of cute. Actually, I wish I would have thought of that now. I don't think I'll do any of them this time like that, but that would be kind of cute, I think, if you sewed around them. And of course, you know, I inked my edges with that vintage photo color, but I think you get a whole different look if you did it in like green or something on the edges. I was just kind of going for a basic, little bit of a vintage feel, so that's why I chose the vintage photo. You could also put your tree together and then put the glitter over it if you want to do that too. That actually probably would have been easier, but this is the way I've done it. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to flip it over though on my craft mat just in case the glitter is not 100% dry, because I'd rather get it on my craft mat than on the journal card. So again, I'm just going to open up all these flaps and glue them down. So yeah, I think, like I was talking about earlier, decorating, I think I'm going to spend tomorrow starting to set up my nativity. The first thing I always have to do is bring in some like tables and stuff to put it on. Like I said before, I live in a cabin, and so we have kind of a little like reading nook area that I have a little chair in that's up in a loft area in the cabin. So that's usually where I choose to put the nativity up. So that'll be on my agenda tomorrow, I think. And then also I think my husband and I do heat our house with firewood, and so I'll probably be helping him too. Usually we take, 1 or 2 days each week and we fill up our firewood racks that we have. We have a rack in the house, and then we have one in our like sunroom that we fill up. And so I think we're getting kind of low on firewood, so I probably need to help him with that. I usually am nice and help him. It's kind of a fun little activity. I guess not fun, but just something to spend time with each other, just doing some stuff like that, some chores around the house. So there, I think that's pretty good placement on that one. And for this one, I decided to cut out, I have some copper paper. I decided to do a copper star for this one. So again, I'm just going to put glue on the bottom half and carefully flip it over. I think for the most part, I think my glitter is dry, but not quite. And then I'm going to glue that one on. So yeah, there's still, possibilities, even if you like to like stencil or add rubber stamps. Again, you could stamp something on the back side too of your journal card if you wanted to take it a step further. You could also, if you have like, you could put little gifts, presents underneath a tree. That would be cute too. So there's a lot of possibilities for these. If you guys do decide to, after watching my video, if you do decide to make little trees and do your own videos, please feel free to like tag me or to come back and leave a comment, just so I'd like to see how your guys' turned out, especially if you take it a step further and add more embellishments. It's always fun to see everyone's take on a project. So here were the two that we decorated today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little craft with me session. So again, I wanted to thank everybody so much for watching today. I did go ahead and make a few more to show you. These were the two that we made together. And so I'll just show you those again. They turned out super cute, I think. And again, would love to know what you guys think. So don't forget to open up my comment box below and leave a little comment. This one was actually a tag that I created. I'm doing this one for a swap that I'm with somebody. I need to send a tag. So I did one with a little tag shape, and then I put a little ribbon up at the top of that one, and I did add a little ribbon up there. This one I used the copper stickles. It's still drying, so I'm going to be careful with that one. This one I used the Rick Rack trim. I thought that turned out really cute with a little bit of green. After I did all these, I was like, oh, I should have done some that were like alternated red and green. But again, I didn't think of it till afterwards. I kept them all the same on each one. I had this one with the little rosette trim that I added, and I really like this one. I think this one's probably my favorite, I think. I like that, how that one turned out with the little rosette trim. And then here's some red Rick Rack trim. Here's some kind of vintage style lace on that one. This one has kind of that crochet type trim lace. And then this one has a little bit different style of lace. This one I actually added one extra layer on, and I just wanted to see what it looks like. But I do have to say, I think I like the ones where I only did 5 instead of 6. There's just that little bit of extra space in between it, where this one was 6. But I just had to try one with an extra layer on 6 on it. But I do like the ones with the 5. Thank you again, everybody, so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And until next time, have a wonderful day and happy crafting.